In a world where ideas spread like wildfire, some minds burn brighter than others. Welcome to our countdown of the top 9 philosophers who would set the digital age ablaze. These thinkers, spanning millennia, possess the power to shatter our fragile modern consensus in seconds. Let's dive into the first chapter of our intellectual inferno, where we'll meet 3 minds so radical they'd make today's influencers look like flickering candles. At number 1, we have Diogenes, the original disruptor. Picture this, a man living in a barrel, mocking every political and moral convention of his time. In 2025, Diogenes would be the ultimate anti-influencer, roasting celebrities and governments alike with his unapologetic bluntness. Imagine Diogenes strolling through Times Square, carrying his infamous lantern in broad daylight, still looking for an honest man. He'd call out the hypocrisy of our leaders, the vanity of our social media obsessions, and the absurdity of our consumer culture. His tweets would be nuclear, his TikToks legendary. Diogenes would weaponize truth against power, wealth, and ego, leaving no sacred cow untipped. But Diogenes is just the spark. Our number 2 philosopher would fan those flames into a raging inferno. Enter Friedrich Nietzsche, the man who dared to declare God is dead in the 19th century. In the digital age, Nietzsche would be a viral lightning rod, his critique of herd behavior and slave morality igniting fierce debates across every platform. Nietzsche's call to become the Übermensch, to transcend conventional morality and create our own values, would resonate with millions seeking purpose in a post-truth world, but it would also terrify those clinging to traditional structures of meaning. His ideas would trigger cultural, religious, and political firestorms instantly, challenging the very foundations of how we understand good and evil. Yet, as controversial as Diogenes and Nietzsche would be, our number 3 philosopher is perhaps the most shocking of all. Brace yourselves for Hypatia of Alexandria, one of the earliest female philosophers and scientists, whose very existence was nearly erased from history. Hypatia's story is a stark reminder of how threatening independent female intellect has been to power structures throughout history. In the 5th century, this brilliant mathematician and astronomer was brutally murdered by a mob, her writings burned, her name almost lost to time. But in 2025, Hypatia's ideas on reason, astronomy, and pluralism would rise from the ashes to challenge extremist thinking across every ideological spectrum. Imagine the impact of Hypatia's voice in our current debates on science, religion, and gender equality. Her unwavering commitment to rational inquiry would be a beacon in our age of misinformation. Hypatia's revival would threaten dogma and authoritarianism, proving that ideas suppressed by violence often return with even greater force. The ancient world tried to silence Hypatia, but in our digital age, she'd trend worldwide. Her story would inspire millions, reminding us of the power of knowledge and the danger of letting mob mentality suppress intellectual freedom. As we close this first chapter of our philosophical firestorm, we're left with a burning question. Why do the most radical minds often get erased, only to return stronger? Is it the fear of change, the threat to established power, or something deeper in human nature? These 3 thinkers, Diogenes, Nietzsche, and Hypatia, represent just the beginning of our journey through history's most incendiary ideas. They challenge us to question everything, to seek truth relentlessly, and to dare to think differently, even in the face of overwhelming opposition. But our intellectual inferno is far from over. Who else would tear through modern ideologies with such unapologetic clarity? As we move into our next chapter, prepare to encounter minds that rebelled against the very systems that shape our world today. From Spinoza's pantheism that challenged religious orthodoxy to Foucault's dissection of power structures, we'll explore thinkers who dared to reimagine the foundations of society, knowledge, and human nature itself. These philosophers didn't just write words on a page. They ignited revolutions in thought that continue to shape our world. In 2025, their ideas would explode across the internet, challenging us to reconsider everything we think we know about truth, justice, and the nature of reality itself. As we delve deeper into our list, we'll encounter minds that were exiled, banned, and ignored in their own time. Yet their ideas persisted, growing stronger in the face of opposition. In our hyper-connected world, these once suppressed voices would find new audiences, sparking debates that could reshape the very fabric of our digital society. Imagine Baruch Spinoza's concept of God as nature itself trending on social media, challenging traditional religious views and offering a new perspective on spirituality. For a secular age, picture Michel Foucault's theories on power and knowledge going viral, exposing the hidden mechanisms of control in our increasingly surveilled and data-driven world. These thinkers remind us that true intellectual bravery often comes at a cost. They faced persecution, ridicule, and exile for daring to challenge the status quo, but in doing so, they paved the way for new ways of understanding ourselves and our place in the universe. As we transition to our final chapter, we'll explore minds that offer uncomfortable truths for uncomfortable times. From Simone Weil's radical empathy to Gilles Deleuze's rhizomatic view of knowledge, we'll encounter ideas that challenge not just what we think, but how we think. These philosophers push us to the edges of our intellectual comfort zones, forcing us to confront the complexities and contradictions of the human experience. In a world often dominated by simplistic soundbites and knee-jerk reactions, their nuanced perspectives offer a much-needed antidote to binary thinking. Throughout this journey, we've seen how ideas once considered dangerous or heretical can become powerful tools for understanding and changing the world. As we wrap up our exploration of these 9 incendiary minds, we're left with a final, burning question. In an age of information overload and algorithmic echo chambers, how can we cultivate the kind of radical, independent thinking exemplified by these philosophers? How do we keep the flame of intellectual curiosity alive in a world that often seems designed to extinguish it? These 9 philosophers, from Diogenes to Deleuze, offer us more than just interesting ideas. They provide us with models of courage, creativity, and critical thinking that are more vital than ever in our complex, interconnected world. As we close this video, we invite you to carry these flames of thought with you. Let them illuminate the dark corners of conformity, challenge your assumptions, and inspire you to think boldly and critically about the world around you. Remember, in the realm of ideas, the most powerful infernos often start with a single spark. What intellectual fires will you ignite? How will you keep the spirit of philosophical inquiry burning bright in your own life and in our shared digital spaces? The conversation doesn't end here. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these philosophers resonates most with you? Whose ideas do you think would cause the biggest stir in 2025? Let's keep this intellectual firestorm burning bright, challenging each other to think deeper, question further, and dare to reimagine our world. Until next time, keep thinking critically, stay curious, and never stop questioning. The greatest adventures in human thought are still waiting to be explored. Are you ready to join the journey? Rebels against the modern mind. These thinkers didn't just challenge ideas, they shattered entire worldviews. At number 4, we have Baruch Spinoza, a man so controversial he was expelled from his own Jewish community. Why? He dared to suggest that God wasn't some bearded figure in the sky, but was woven into the very fabric of nature itself. Imagine dropping that bombshell in your local megachurch or scientific conference. Spinoza's calm, methodical dismantling of religious dogma would set Twitter ablaze faster than you can say heretic. But Spinoza was just the warm-up act. At number 5, we encounter Søren Kierkegaard, the moody Danish philosopher who'd have a field day with our social media obsessions. Picture him, wild-haired and intense, ranting about how we've traded genuine selfhood for likes and follows. Authenticity, he'd cry, pointing an accusing finger at our carefully curated Instagram feeds. Kierkegaard would tear into online tribalism, demanding we face the terrifying freedom of true individual choice. His existential angst would spread through TikTok like wildfire, leaving a trail of identity crises in its wake. Yet even Kierkegaard's revolutionary ideas pale in comparison to our number 6 philosopher. Brace yourselves for Michel Foucault, the French thinker who'd explode every comfort zone in sight. Foucault didn't just question power, he exposed how it seeps into every corner of our lives, shaping what we think of as normal or true. In 2025, his ideas would ignite firestorms and debates about media manipulation, gender identity, and government surveillance. Imagine the chaos as Foucault systematically dismantles our faith in institutions, schools, tools of social control, prisons, factories for creating delinquents, even the way we talk about mental health or sexuality, all part of vast systems of power that define what's normal and what's not. His power equals knowledge thesis would send shockwaves through academia and set comment sections ablaze. Why? Because Foucault shows us how little we truly control. He'd argue that the very language we use to discuss freedom is shaped by hidden power structures. It's not that he's necessarily wrong, it's that his ideas are so deeply unsettling, they force us to question everything we think we know about ourselves and our society. These 3 thinkers, Spinoza, Kierkegaard, and Foucault, didn't aim to please. They aimed to shatter our comfortable illusions. In the echo chambers of social media, their radical questioning would spread like wildfire, challenging believers and skeptics alike. Spinoza would be labeled a heretic by both the devoutly religious and the staunchly scientific. Kierkegaard would become the patron saint of digital detoxes, his cry for authenticity a rallying point against shallow online personas. And Foucault, he'd be simultaneously hailed as a liberator and denounced as a nihilist, his ideas sparking fierce debates in every corner of the internet. But here's the truly mind-bending part. Some ideas are so explosive, they were buried for centuries. As we dive deeper into our list, we'll encounter thinkers whose very names were nearly erased from history. Their thoughts were deemed too dangerous, too radical to even be remembered. Yet in our hyper-connected age, these long-silenced voices are about to roar back to life. Before we unearth those buried treasures, though, let's pause for a moment of reflection. If Foucault is right, and truth itself is shaped by power, how do we ever escape manipulation? Can we trust anything we think we know? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is one rabbit hole we're diving into together. Now, brace yourselves as we enter the realm of truly dangerous ideas. At number 3, we encounter a thinker so revolutionary, so ahead of her time, that history itself tried to erase her. Hypatia of Alexandria, the brilliant mathematician and philosopher who dared to challenge both religious and political authority in the 4th century. Imagine a woman in ancient times teaching advanced mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy to packed lecture halls. Now imagine her being brutally murdered by a mob, her works destroyed, her very existence nearly wiped from the record books. In 2025, Hypatia's story would explode across social media, a rallying cry for women in STEM and a stark reminder of how fragile knowledge can be in the face of dogma. Her teachings on rational thought and scientific inquiry would challenge both religious fundamentalists and those who claim science as an unquestionable authority. Hypatia represents the power of ideas so threatening that those in power would rather destroy them entirely than allow them to spread. But silenced voices have a way of echoing through time. At number 2, we find Simone Weil, the French philosopher whose radical ideas on suffering, attention, and spirituality would set modern self-help culture on its head. Weil lived a life of voluntary poverty and hard labor, arguing that true understanding comes only through deep, often painful, engagement with reality. In an age of quick fixes and positive thinking, Weil's insistence on embracing difficulty would be both revolutionary and deeply uncomfortable. Imagine her critiques of our attention economy, where every app and website fights for our focus. Weil would argue that this constant distraction robs us of our humanity, our ability to truly see and understand the world and each other. Her ideas on the sacredness of attention would challenge our entire digital lifestyle, forcing us to confront the emptiness behind our endless scrolling. But it's our number 1 philosopher who would truly set the digital world ablaze. Gilles Deleuze, the French thinker whose complex ideas on desire, capitalism, and identity would explode across social media like a philosophical bomb. Deleuze argued that our very sense of self is shaped by the flows of desire created by capitalism. He'd look at our social media profiles and see not expressions of individuality, but carefully constructed products designed to generate likes and follows. Deleuze's concept of the society of control would resonate eerily in our world of targeted ads and algorithmic recommendations. He'd argue that we've moved beyond Foucault's disciplinary societies into a world where control is constant, invisible, and self-imposed. We willingly give up our data, our attention, our very sense of self to systems that shape our desires and behaviors. The internet would explode with debates over Deleuze's ideas. Are we truly free individuals, or just nodes in vast networks of desire and control? Can we ever escape the systems that shape us? Or is resistance itself just another product to be marketed and sold? These 9 philosophers, from Diogenes to Deleuze, represent ideas so powerful they've been feared, suppressed, and nearly forgotten. Yet in our hyper-connected age, they're poised to ignite firestorms of debate and self-reflection. They challenge us to question everything: our beliefs, our identities, even the very nature of truth and reality. As we close this journey through dangerous ideas, ask yourself, which of these thinkers challenges you the most? Whose ideas make you uncomfortable? And why? The true power of philosophy isn't in providing easy answers, but in forcing us to confront the questions we'd rather avoid. In 2025, these long-dead thinkers might just spark the revolutions our modern minds so desperately need. So, are you ready to have your worldview shaken? To question everything you think you know? The ideas are out there, waiting to ignite. The only question is, are you brave enough to let them in? Leave a comment, Share your thoughts, and let's keep this philosophical firestorm burning. As we approach the final stretch of our philosophical journey, we encounter three thinkers whose ideas would set the digital world ablaze in 2025. These are not your garden variety intellectuals, but radical minds whose thoughts cut through the noise of social media like a hot knife through butter. Brace yourselves for a trio that would make algorithms glitch and comment sections explode. At number 7, we have Simone Weil, a woman who defied categorization in her own time and would continue to do so today. Picture this: a brilliant philosopher who chose to work in factories, a mystic who challenged both the left and the right. In 2025, Weil's writings would make headlines not for their controversy, but for their uncomfortable clarity. Imagine the Twitter storm as Weil's words on the nature of attention in a distracted world go viral. Her insistence on the sacredness of labor would confound those who reduce work to mere economic transactions. Weil's radical empathy, her refusal to align with any ideology, would be a thorn in the side of those who demand tribal loyalty. But it's her spiritual writings that would truly set the internet on fire. In an age of performative atheism and religious fundamentalism, Weil's nuanced approach to faith would be like throwing gasoline on the flames of debate. Her concept of waiting for God would challenge both believers and non-believers alike, forcing us to confront the depths of our own spiritual hunger. Moving to number 8, we encounter Frantz Fanon, a voice that would resonate with terrifying clarity in our era of global unrest. Fanon's insights into colonialism and racism would explode across social media, igniting fierce debates on systemic oppression long before it became a hashtag. Imagine the controversy as Fanon's words on violence as a means of liberation are shared and reshared. His analysis of the psychological effects of colonialism would force us to confront uncomfortable truths about power structures that persist to this day. In a world still grappling with the legacy of imperialism, Fanon's voice would be both a rallying cry and a lightning rod. But it's not just his political thought that would cause waves. Fanon's work on the impact of racism on mental health would challenge our understanding of trauma and resilience. His ideas would force us to reckon with the deep-seated biases that shape our perceptions of others and ourselves. And finally, at number 9, we have Gilles Deleuze, the philosopher whose abstract thinking would either be celebrated as revolutionary or dismissed as incomprehensible. In an age of soundbites and oversimplification, Deleuze's complex systems thinking would be a direct challenge to algorithmic simplicity. Picture the memes attempting to capture Deleuze's concept of the rhizome, or the heated debates over his dismantling of traditional notions of identity. His ideas on desire and capitalism would spark fierce arguments about the nature of consumerism in the digital age. Deleuze's philosophy would be a labyrinth that some would eagerly explore, while others would denounce as intellectual posturing. But it's his collaboration with Félix Guattari that would truly set the internet ablaze. Their concept of schizoanalysis would challenge our understanding of mental health and social structures. In a world increasingly aware of neurodiversity, Deleuze and Guattari's work would offer a radical, new perspective on what it means to be normal. These three thinkers, Weil, Fanon, and Deleuze, represent more than just controversial ideas. They embody a level of intellectual courage that seems increasingly rare. In our age of instant judgment and cancel culture, their thoughts demand nuance, careful consideration, and a willingness to engage with complexity. In 2025, these philosophers would divide audiences not because they seek controversy, but because they force us to confront uncomfortable truths. While spiritual insights would challenge both the religious and the secular, Fanon's analysis of oppression would make both the powerful and the powerless squirm. Deleuze's abstract thinking would frustrate those seeking easy answers, while inspiring others to dive deeper. These are not safe thinkers, they're necessary ones. In a world of echo chambers and algorithmic bubbles, voices like these force us to confront ideas that don't neatly fit into our preconceived narratives. They challenge us to think beyond the confines of our social media feeds and engage with the messy, complex reality of human thought. But here's the burning question: if these thinkers rose today, would we have the courage to listen? Or would we, like so many generations before us, try to silence what we can't easily categorize or control? The digital age offers unprecedented platforms for the spread of ideas, but it also provides tools for swift and merciless judgment. Imagine Weil's mystical writings being flagged as misinformation or Fanon's call for liberation being labeled as promoting violence. Picture Deleuze's complex philosophy being dismissed as pseudo-intellectual nonsense by those unwilling to engage with its depth. In our rush to protect ourselves from harmful ideas, Do we risk shutting out the very voices that could lead us to greater understanding? This is the challenge we face in 2025 and beyond. Are we ready for thinkers who don't fit neatly into our narratives? Can we resist the urge to cancel what we can't immediately comprehend? The answer to these questions will determine not just the fate of philosophy in the digital age, but the very nature of intellectual discourse in our society. As we conclude this journey through 9 philosophers who would set 2025 ablaze, we're left with a profound challenge. These thinkers, from Diogenes hurling truth bombs in the ancient Agora, to Deleuze unraveling our concepts of identity, represent more than just controversial ideas. They embody the very essence of philosophical inquiry, the courage to question, the willingness to be wrong, and the determination to seek truth even when it's uncomfortable. In a world increasingly divided by algorithms and echo chambers, these voices remind us of the power of genuine intellectual engagement. They challenge us to look beyond the surface, to grapple with complexity, and to confront our own biases and assumptions. So, as we face the future, let's ask ourselves, are we ready for thinkers who don't fit our narratives? Or do we cancel what we can't control? The choice is ours. Will we embrace the discomfort of genuine intellectual growth, or retreat into the safety of our ideological bubbles? The philosophers we've explored would start a firestorm in 2025 not because they seek controversy, but because they demand something increasingly rare in our digital age: the courage to think deeply, to question relentlessly, and to engage with ideas that challenge us to our core. In a world of instant reactions and snap judgments, perhaps what we need most are voices that force us to pause, reflect, and truly engage with the complexities of human thought. As you ponder these ideas, we invite you to share your thoughts. Are we ready for thinkers who don't fit our narratives? Or do we cancel what we can't control? Your voice matters in this ongoing dialogue about the future of philosophy and intellectual discourse in the digital age. Join the conversation, and let's keep the flame of genuine intellectual inquiry burning bright in 2025 and beyond.